The M1 Abrams and Leopard 2 are both third-generation main battle tanks that use lessons learned from the failure of the MBT-70 project. Let's see how they compare in War Thunder through armor, firepower, and mobility. Starting with the heat round from the T-80B against the Leopard 2A4, the upper front glacis is quite vulnerable against the heat round, assuming it doesn't ricochet. This can happen due to the steep angle though. Just underneath the gun shield is quite vulnerable as well. Can take out the breech, sometimes some of the crew members. The entirety of the gun shield is actually quite vulnerable to the heat round as well. It'll go through, take out some of the crew members. There's a small weak spot just about here. You're not very likely to get hit there, as the actual armor hole is quite small. It's there from the optics cables going to the armor package. Let's go over to 3BM42. 3BM42 doesn't really have that many issues against the Leopard 2's hull. Shoot on the left side, it could one-shot you by taking out the 3 crew members in the line. Now, Leopard 2 does have this ammo rack on the right side of the vehicle. However, most Leopard 2 players aren't going to carry enough ammo for you to hit that reliably. The turret cheek over on the loader's side is actually quite well protected against this ammunition. For the ranges, 3BM42 is actually not likely to go through, but on closer ones, it can. Same thing with the gunner's side. However, you have to be even further away for it to not penetrate. One weak spot that it does have is the actual gunner's optic. Going through here, you'll take out the gunner and commander. Now let's go take a look at the M1 Abrams. Going back to the heat round with T-80B, most of the front armor package is actually invulnerable to the round. Even the gun shield is quite resistant to this round. However, just below the gun shield, the heat round's going to go straight through, deal a bit of damage, take out the engine and turret ring, possibly even get some of the crew members. Another shot that can be made, however there's a chance of ricochet, is the extra upper front plate. If it goes through, this will also take down a few crew members. The turret ring is also quite vulnerable in the M1 to heat. A hit here is going to do a significant amount of smalling, even possibly one-shotting. However, when you compare the actual vulnerable area in the M1 against Leopard 2A4 when it comes to heat, it's slightly better. Let's go over to 3BM42. The lower glacis is quite vulnerable to 3BM42, especially at close range. Let's take out the driver and the engine, and possibly a few crew members. The gunner's side is also vulnerable to this round. We'll take out the commander and gunner. With bad luck, it could hit your ammo rack in the back of the turret. The loader's side is better protected, though. If it does penetrate here, it's not likely to go through the back plate where the ammo is. The gun shield, while slightly stronger than the Leopard 2's, is still not strong enough to stop 3BM42. Mind you, any rounds that go through the front of the tank and go through the ammo on the back of the turret is going to kill this vehicle in one shot. An interesting observation with the M1 Abrams is that, at least in the early variant, the hull is just as strong as the turret. A similar story can be said for the gun shield as well. This isn't really standard for most vehicles. However, the armor is not strong enough to really matter in the first place. We go to the turret ring once again. This area is very likely to one-shot you, especially with the recent changes to the AP-FSDS damage model. Let's go take a look at firepower. I'm going to be using the T-80B because it's the same BR. Starting with the Leopard 2A4, you do have the heat round is only going to go through your standard T-80B weak spots. Driver's hatch, lower glacis, and gun shield. Nothing too special here. Let's go look at the kinetic energy round. The M23, there's actually a chance to go through the hole in some of the areas here. You're still probably better off going for the standard weak spots, as you're likely to one-shot the vehicle just due to spalling, or do at least significant damage. Let's go back and look at the M1 Abrams. Stock round the M1 only has 400mm of penetration. It's M456A2. The same weak spots work, although it's going to do a bit less damage than Leopard 2 does. Going with the final tier kinetic energy round, it does have a bit less penetration than the M23, however it's not going to make a huge difference unless you're at long ranges. But if you aim for the same weak spots, it's going to do the same damage. Maybe on some of the heavier armored targets, Leopard 2 would go through where the M1 Abrams won't. There's another difference in firepower between these vehicles, which I'll show you here. With an ace crew, the Leopard 2 has a 6-second reload. The M1 Abrams with a ace crew has a 5-second reload. This is actually a pretty significant advantage that the M1 Abrams has. When you go from 6 to 5 seconds, it's actually quite hard for the enemy to react before you get your second shot off. Mind you, it's not easy with 6, it's just a lot harder when it's 5 seconds. Now let's go take a look at the mobility. Starting from 0, you'll notice the M1 Abrams is slightly faster to start up, however the Leopard 2 catches up. These two are very similar speeds because they have a similar weight class and they both have 1500 horsepower engines. One thing you will notice here in a moment is that the Leopard 2 is capped at 68 kilometers an hour, but the Abrams keeps speeding up. The Abrams has a top speed of 72 kilometers an hour, but really, these two tanks are no different in terms of mobility. At least when spaded, these two vehicles are quite similar where you can't really see which one is better than the other. However, when you do the stock grind, you will notice there's some differences. The M1's heat round has less penetration than the Leopard 2's. The first upgrade round on the M1 is M735, and when you compare that to 120mm DM13, there's a pretty massive penetration difference. Now, whenever you go up to the top rounds on both vehicles, they're both quite usable, although M774 does have a bit less penetration. This means the Leopard 2 has a slight advantage over the M1. Now, if you want to see a comparison between two Cold War heavy tanks, check out this video here.